2 years, I worked towards the biggest goal of my life. For 2 years, I told no one. Not my manager, not my colleagues, not even my closest friends at work. And that silence is the reason I succeeded. Today, I'm going to tell you something that goes against everything you've heard about goal setting, everything you've been told about accountability, everything about sharing your dreams, about manifesting out loud. The research shows you're doing it wrong, and my own career is proof. So stay with me. Let me take you back. I was working in a medical laboratory, good job, stable, respectable, but I felt stuck. The growth ceiling was visible. I could see exactly where I would be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and it wasn't where I wanted to go. I wanted more. I wanted to move from the bench to the boardroom. I wanted an MBA. A real pivot. A complete reinvention of who I was professionally. And here's what I knew instinctively. If I told people, I would face questions. Why do you want to leave? Isn't that risky? What makes you think you can get a scholarship? What if you don't get in? Their doubt could become my doubt. So I made a decision. I would walk in silence. For 2 years, 2 full years, I researched scholarship opportunities in private. I filled out applications at night after everyone else had gone home. I prepared for interviews without telling a soul. My colleagues had no idea that I had a foot out the door. And when I finally secured a full scholarship for my MBA, only then did I tell them. By that point, it wasn't a goal, it was a done deal. The look on their faces. Shock. Complete shock. Better we had no idea. That was exactly the point. Today I want to show you why this works. Not just for me, but backed by decades of research, and why professional women in particular need to understand the power of strategic silence. So this might be the most counterintuitive thing I've shared, but let's get into it. In 2009, a psychology professor at NYU named Peter Gollwitzer published research that challenged everything we thought we knew about goal setting. And the findings are uncomfortable. Gollwitzer studied law students in Germany. He asked them to write down their commitments to working harder, their study intentions for the week. Half of the students had their intentions acknowledged by the researcher. The researcher read them, nodded, confirmed them. The other half, their intentions went unnoticed. They were told the questionnaires was a mistake and would be discarded. A week later, Gollwitzer checked in. Which group actually followed through? The students whose intentions were acknowledged, the ones who got that little nod of recognition, actually worked less. Less, not more, less. The simple act of having someone acknowledge your goal reduces your likelihood of achieving it. Gollwitzer called this the social reality effect. So here's what happens. When you announce a goal, especially a goal tied to your identity, like I'm going to become a leader or I'm going to get my MBA, something happens in your brain. You get a premature sense of completeness. The recognition feels good. You get a little dopamine hit. Your brain registers that you've made progress. But you haven't. You just talked about making progress. So the gap between where you are and where you want to be, that gap creates motivation. It's uncomfortable, and that discomfort drives action. But when you announce your goal and receive acknowledgement, that gap closes artificially. You feel like you've already taken a step. The tension releases. You feel good, or you've accomplished nothing, and your motivation drops. This isn't just one study. Research published in Psychological Science confirms it. Public acknowledgement diminishes follow-through. Studies on New Year's resolution shows that while 45% of Americans set them, only 8% achieved it, and the premature announcement is a major factor. So here's the part that really got me. Gollwitzer found that this effect was strongest for people who were committed to their goals. So the more you care about something, the more vulnerable you are to having the motivation drained by premature announcements. So the goals that matter most to you, those are the ones most at risk. Think about that. Now, if you've been following my content, you might be thinking, hold on, Betty, You told us about cornerstone habits, committing to one thing for 90 days. You talked about accountability in the self-development habits. You said honor your ambition with accountability. Are you contradicting yourself? No. And here is a crucial distinction. There's a massive difference between accountability and announcement. Announcement is broadcasting your intentions to the world. Social media posts about your goals, telling everyone at dinner what you're working toward, making it public. Accountability is strategic partnership with carefully chosen people who would hold you to your commitments, not just applaud your intentions. So the research from Dominican University makes this very clear. People who kept goals completely private achieved them 35% of the time. But people with carefully chosen accountability partners, 70%. The difference isn't secrecy versus sharing. It's strategic silence versus premature announcements. During my 2-year scholarship journey, I wasn't completely alone. I had one accountability partner, someone who asked hard questions, checked on my progress, and didn't just tell me I was amazing for having a dream. But my colleagues, my manager, the general public, they knew nothing. That was deliberate. So accountability ask, did you do the work? Announcement ask, isn't this a great goal? One drives action, the other drives motivation. Know the difference. Now, this research applies to everyone, men, women, everyone. But there are specific reasons why professional women need to be especially careful. Let me give you 5. Reason 1, we are socialized to be communal. So from childhood, women are taught to share, collaborate, seek consensus, build community through disclosure. This is beautiful in many ways. But it can work against us when it comes to goals. Our instinct is to talk about what we are working toward, to process out loud, to bring others into our journey. But that instinct invites opinions, questions, doubt, sometimes even unconscious sabotage from people who feel threatened by our ambitions. When I was quietly researching MBA scholarships, I knew if I told my colleagues, I would face a chorus of questions. Why do you want to leave? Isn't that risky? What if you don't get in? Their doubts could become my doubt. By staying silent, I protected my belief in what was possible. Reason 2, the visibility trap. I've talked about the invisible tax professional women pay just to exist in certain spaces. The extra energy spent navigating environments that weren't designed for us. Announcing goals paints a target on your back. In toxic environments especially, visibility can be dangerous. Letting people know you're aiming higher gives them information they can use against you. So during my 2 years of quiet preparation, I was still showing up, still doing my job, still being excellent. No one knew I had one foot out the door, and no one could undermine something they knew nothing about. That's strategic protection. Reason 3, the person praise trap. So research from Reed College found something fascinating about how different types of feedback affect motivation. When people receive person praise, you're so smart, you're so capable, motivation actually decreases after setbacks. But when people receive process praise, you've really worked hard on that, their motivation increases. Women receive person praise. You're so talented, you're such a natural leader. It feels good in the moment, but it backfires when things get hard. When you announce a goal and receive person praise in return, you're setting yourself up. Because the moment you struggle, and you will struggle, that praise makes you question your identity rather than your strategy. Or they said, I was capable, why can't I do this? The praise didn't help, it hurt. Reason 4, competition dynamics. Studies show that when people are made aware they are in a competition, something counterintuitive happens. So their effort often decreases. They shift from win by achieving to win by not losing. They play it safe. When you announce your ambitious goals, you're essentially announcing yourself as a competition. And other people's awareness of competing with you can actually hurt the performance. So by working in silence, you remove the competition dynamic entirely. You're not racing anyone. You're just quietly building. Reason 5, the permission trap. In my video on career confusion, I talked about how professional women often unconsciously seek permission to pursue what they want. Announcing goals can be a form of seeking permission. I'm thinking about applying for an MBA scholarship. And then you wait. You watch faces. You gauge reactions. You're subconsciously asking, is this okay? Do you think I can do it? Do I have your blessing? That's giving away your power. When I decided to pursue my scholarship, I didn't ask anyone if it was a good idea. I didn't float to gauge reactions. I decided and then I did the work. The only announcement was the results. So how do you actually do this? Let me give you a framework I've developed. Tested on myself first and then refined with women I work with. 5 steps. Step 1. Identify if your goal is identity linked. This is crucial. Not all goals are equally vulnerable to the announcement effect. I'm going to drink more water is a behavioral goal, no identity attachment. Announce it if you want. Probably won't hurt. But I'm going to become a director, or I'm going to get my MBA, or I'm going to leave this industry and start something new. Those are identity goals. They're about who you're becoming, not just what you're doing. Identity goals are the goals you need to protect. My goal wasn't just apply for scholarship. It was transform from a lab scientist into a business leader. That's identity, and that added protection. Step 2, create a privacy cycle. Imagine a series of concentric circles. The innermost circle, maybe 1 or 2 people, know your goal in detail. These are your accountability partners. They ask hard questions. They check your progress. They don't just cheer. The next circle knows something is happening, but not the specifics. Betty seems to be working on something. The outer circle knows nothing. So during my scholarship journey, my privacy circle was just very tiny. 1% in the inner ring. Everyone else was on the outside. Design your circle deliberately. Step 3, replace goal intentions with implementation intentions. So this is research-backed and powerful. Goal intentions are vague. I want to get an MBA. Implementation intentions are specific. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m., I will research scholarship opportunities and complete 1 application section. The research shows that implementation intentions dramatically increases follow-through without the need for public announcements. So you don't need external validation, you need a concrete plan. Step 4, document privately. Keep a record of your progress that only you can see. I kept a detailed tracker during my scholarship journey. Every application I completed, every interview I prepared for, every milestone reached. This served 2 purposes. First, it gives you evidence of progress. You can see that you are moving forward without needing anyone else to acknowledge it. And second, it creates accountability to yourself. When you write something down, you're more likely to follow through. Your journal becomes the witness. Step 5, announce results, not intentions. So when you finally achieve the goal, you share. At that point, you are not seeking validation for an intention. You're informing people of a fact. When I told colleagues about my MBA scholarship, I wasn't asking for their belief. I was sharing news. There's a completely different energy in that conversation. You're not vulnerable. You're victorious. Now, I don't want you to think that this means complete secrecy always. There are times when sharing news or sharing makes sense. Share when you genuinely need help that only specific information can unlock. So if you are applying for a role and someone in that network would introduce you to the hiring manager, yes, you tell them. Or tell them specifically, not generally. Not I want to become a VP something, but I'm applying for this specific role and I'm wondering if you know anyone in that company. Share when collaboration is required. Some goals can be achieved alone. If your goal requires a team, of course, you need to involve people. But even then, share with people who need to know when they need to know, not before. Here's the test I use. Before sharing a goal, ask yourself, am I sharing to get help or am I sharing to feel good? If the answer is to feel good, that's the dopamine talking. That's the premature sense of completeness trying to hijack the motivation. Keep it private. Do the work. Share the results. So let me bring it all together. 2 years of silence led to a full scholarship that changed the trajectory of my entire career. From that MBA came opportunities that I never could have imagined as a lab scientist, staring at the growth ceiling. New countries, new industries, eventually the freedom to build something of my own. All of it traces back to the decision I made to protect my goal from the opinion of people who didn't need to know. The research is clear. Announcing your goal prematurely can create a false sense of progress and drains your motivation. This effect is especially powerful for goals tied to your identity, which for ambitious women is most of our career goals. And we're uniquely vulnerable because of how we're socialized, the environments we navigate, and the dynamics we face. Strategic silence isn't about hiding, it's about protecting. Protecting your motivation, protecting your energy, protecting your dreams from opinions that don't serve you. Keep your goals close. Share your results widely. Let your work speak louder than your words. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever announced a goal and then struggled to follow through? Telling people help or hurt? Drop a comment. I read everyone. And if you want to go deeper on this, I've created a strategic goal setting workbook. It walks you through the privacy circle exercise, how to identify the right accountability partners, template for private goal documentation, implementation intention formats. It's free and the link is in the description. Next week, we're talking about something that connects directly to this, how to reinvent yourself. Because sometimes the goal isn't to advance in your current path. Sometimes the goal is to become someone else entirely new. So if you've ever felt like you've outgrown your current role, your industry, or even your current identity, that video is for you. And trust me, you're going to want to keep that reinvention private until you're ready to reveal it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, remember, your dreams don't need an audience. They need action. Keep them close, do the work, let your results speak. I'll see you in the next one.